Welcome to the Perfect Life Awakening Show, hosted by Royce Morales. Royce has been a transformational facilitator, teaching groundbreaking, spiritually based courses for more than 4 decades. She is the author of 3 books about her teachings. Join Royce as she takes you on a journey into how to live your best life and find your true purpose through discovering the origins of subconscious, disempowering notions and releasing them. She talks with experts and inspiring people just like you who learned to trust their intuitive inner wisdom, which led to life-changing shifts. Today, her guests live an empowered existence and are helping change the world to a higher consciousness place based on truth and love. You deserve to awaken to, align with, and embody your true self and live a life filled with love. Transform yourself from triggered to empowered and create your perfect life. Here is your host, Royce Morales.
Hello, welcome to my show. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited. I get to speak with Dr. Joanne White today, and she's going to talk about resilience, strengthening the inner and outer you, which is, boy, something we all need right about now on our planet. There's so much going on that we need to snap back from or resolve or, I don't know, live through, I guess. But she's going to talk about all kinds of interesting stuff about how to become more resilient and how to, like I said, snap back from some of these things. But let me just tell you a little bit about her. Dr. Joanne White is an international best-selling, award-winning author, speaker, trainer, coach, and consultant. And she has 2 recent books that she wrote, and 2 anthologies. One is called Dare to Dream, Women and Men Who Refuse to Let Their Dreams Die. And the other is called Mission Hope, which is thriving through seasons of the soul. She has another one that's soon to be released, which hopefully she'll tell us a little bit about, called Mission Hope, Inspirational Stories of Faith and Triumph. She's got so many interesting things. I don't want to miss any of them, so I'm just reading them. She's a Goodwill Global Ambassador for civil and humanitarian work in education, entrepreneurship, I can never say that word, coaching and women's issues. She's a certified life, spiritual, and business coach, counselor, energy master teacher. She inspires men, women, families, and businesses to achieve greater health and wellness, master success, realize their dreams, thrive and triumph, turning challenges into opportunities. I love that expression. She's also the executive producer and host of the Power Your Life shows, which I have been on and I hope to be on again too. Her Journey into Relaxation CD, along with Deepak Chopra and Christine Northrup CDs, was chosen as one of 5 CDs that can change your life by Women's World. Her title that a lot of people have given her is Success Doc, and I think that's great. And let's see what else here. She gets to the heart of what matters to businesses, organizations, and people with her transformative and inspiring seminars, coaching programs, and products. She's an anti-bullying spokesperson. She advocates for people with autism, neurological, and learning differences and their families. So is there anything you don't do, Joanne? Wow. That's a lot.
Royce. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Oh, God.
I appreciate it. And I'm so excited to be here today. Thanks again.
Thank you. So I feel so honored to have you. And we're going to talk about resilience. And if you guys don't know this about me, I'm a word nerd. Whenever I give a lecture or a presentation, I always like to look up words in dictionaries to find out what they really mean. I love to see the roots of words, etc. So I looked up the word resilience. And here's what the dictionary says. The capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, withstand adversity, bounce back from difficult life events, work through emotional pain, toughness, to spring back into shape, elasticity, flexibility, strength, ability to last. I always picture, a piece of elastic snapping back. And boy, like I said, with everything going on the planet, we all need to snap back. So I have to say, one who tries to snap back pretty fast in my life, because I know that holding on to stuff is not usually healthy to do. But first of all, before I get into my little speech about the world, tell us what you mean by resilience. What does the word mean to you, or what does the concept mean to you?
Well, you already covered a lot of it. But resilience is, firstly, we've all been through challenges. Being alive, there are challenges that we go through. Some we are aware of, and others we don't anticipate, but they happen. Our capacity to be able to move through those challenges, to be able to see them in a different light, rather that, it depends on how we're looking at things, and I'll get into that a little bit regarding perception. But we can be defeated by those challenges. We can not be able to move forward with those challenges, or we could have the resilience to be able to decide, okay, I'm going to be able to move through this. It may be difficult. It may be something that's really could even be life threatening. Many people have gone through that recently with environmental stuff, climate stuff, all sorts of things, even wars that are going on these days, all of that. So how we handle it, how we are able to get through it and move even beyond it, is really very much a part of resilience. The strength, the inner capacity we have to bounce back, to adapt, to utilize resources and be resourceful, to be able to carry on. And what's also interesting, Royce, is to be able to see that maybe there's some growth from it. Hopefully, there is some growth, some experience, some learning, and also perhaps even be able to turn it around a little bit and see something wonderful coming from it. And I can share some personal things about that if you want later on, but that's important, how we shift it, how we translate it in our brains, and that's really very important.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm thinking about a couple of things, but the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that it seems like we're still going through trying to snap back from the pandemic. I talk to people and they say, oh, God, they're still kind of in that PTSD mode, oh, this could happen again, or I'm afraid to go out still, or I haven't gone out to dinner yet, or, there's still that I haven't let go of that yet. How do you feel about that kind of thing?
Well, I've been working with a few clients who really feel the same way. And again, there are ways to be able to equip yourself so that you feel safe, so that you feel comfortable being out. And also a lot of it is attitudinal and in terms of the brain. We need social interaction, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person. It's really important. And it's a very important part of resilience. And so, how we do it is important. But isolating yourself may not be the best thing in terms of resilience, and in terms of, again, figuring out, okay, how am I going to get through this? I'm seeing people now, some people resuming wearing masks, people getting vaccinated. Whatever you need to do to make sure that you feel comfortable, even doing some more distancing when you're out, it's important. But isolation, I don't know that that serves you, and I'm not sure that that keeps you protected. And I know from working with a few people, what it's doing is it's increasing their sense of depression and not feeling like, I mean, when's the last time you got a hug? When's, things like that we need that. We need touch. We need that connection. And that's really important. So I encourage people to be sensitive, to be careful, to take charge of and be responsible. That's also important. Be responsible for themselves and also for other people. But get out of that mindset, and mindset's very important to resilience,
Mhm.
to be able to say, okay, I can't do this. I can't just totally hide in my room forever. I have to be able to venture out and do so safely, and maybe even with more precaution or whatever, but do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking in terms of all the stuff that's going on in the world right now, the wars and craziness. And I keep thinking, it's one thing to snap back or to be resilient from, well, even from the pandemic, or, let's use something more simple, to snap back from breaking up or from losing your job or from, you know, I don't know, just something simple like that we've all gone through. But it's another thing to lose your entire family from a bombing, or have to have to leave your city, or things like that are going on. What do you say to people that are going through that sort of thing?
Firstly, we empathize, and that's important, that they know that there are people that care. And again, that's part of the social piece, that we care. We want people to feel and be safe, and most people are very disturbed about what's happening, which doesn't matter what side you're on or
Right.
whatever, but it is disturbing. And to be able to hopefully get resources from other people, get support in other kinds of ways. But when you're going through that, and also just want to go back a little bit, when you're going through a breakup, and when you're losing your job, they're not minimal. To some people, they could be incredibly life-threatening too, in terms of, well, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to be able to go to school? Whatever it is. So those situations can feel very volatile and very disturbing. They're not certainly wars, but to individuals, they may really be over the top, that somebody can handle at that particular time. So try to be as safe as possible. I mean, what's happening in wars is that there are people that are connecting with one another, even where they are. Stay with people that are connected. Feel, there have been situations in wars where people are hovered together and they're singing, hovered
Mhm.
together and they're praying, hovered together and they're just helping one another. And that's so important to resilience, and also a sense of a little bit of hope. I mean, Frankel, who was in a concentration camp, wrote a book. And when he was in that camp, and I was doing some research about him, he was thinking, do I need to give my last cigarette for a cup of soup or whatever? And he was thinking about, there was somebody that he was going to be under that was very abusive and and going to be brutal. And he thought, look at what my life has turned into. And he decided that he needed to change it, that he needed to create some sense of meaning for what he was doing. And so that he felt that he imagined that when he got out of it, if he ever got out of the concentration camp, Royce, that what he was going to do was going to teach people and share stories about how people were resilient, how they got through it, and creating a sense of meaning is so very, very important. So maybe, again, you're in a war, but it's to be able to continue to live the way, and for your next generation, for your children, for your grandchildren, whatever it is,
The
to be
planet.
able to find some sense of purpose. And even helping other people gives you a sense of purpose and a sense of caring and a sense of meaning.
Yeah, that's so important what you just said, especially what you were saying, that one person's loss of their car or their home or their job is the same as somebody else being in a war, being bombed. It's all the same for us. It brings up the same fear and the same sense of hopelessness and the same reactiveness. All of that is really the same for anything we're going through. I had a student years and years and years ago that came to class one night and was sharing this story about how he didn't get a thank you note from somebody that he sent a present to, and he was just devastated by this, and he's going on for 15 minutes about how devastating this was, and I'm listening to him going, wow, that little tiny event caused so much, I don't know, stress in you or
Yeah.
angst in you. And, and there are people in the room that have much worse things going on. And it was so interesting to me because it taught me that everybody feels the same stuff, no matter how big or little we judge it as. It's all the same to us.
But it's also about perception.
Yeah.
So looking, and I will go to that situation, looking at what was going on, he didn't receive a thank you note. What if he shifted his mindset? What if he looked at it a different way? Maybe that person was very busy, and in the light of so many other things, maybe that thank you note wasn't as important as him actually doing something nice and giving a gift. When we give things, giving also creates a sense of joy and a sense of pleasure within ourselves, and maybe that could have been enough. But how he perceived it, his perception and his response, or really reaction to it, is also very critical in terms of what's going on with us. So
Yeah.
we can face a situation that could be life devastating in some way, and turn it around, or the fact that he didn't get a thank you note, to be able to look at it a different way. Okay, that person, and I said this, that person is busy, or you know what? I'm feeling really grateful that I was able to give that present. So I'm going to thank myself, right? I mean, whatever you need to do to change the mindset, to change the situation, to change how you're perceiving what's going on, that is key. And that's so important to resilience.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know how to do that. I was working with someone years ago too, who had a very difficult time over a lot of injuries that were going on in her personal life, and also deaths and whatever. And she thought, why is this happening? How is this horrible thing happening? And after talking and working through it, it was like, well, what can you what can you do with it? Yes, you have to go through it. It's not nice, it's sad, it's horrible, and you have to grieve and you have to go through the loss, and that's okay. We need to acknowledge our emotions, our feelings, but not take 10 years to be able to recover from it. But at the same time, what what's the learning piece of it? What can you gain from it? What can you then take from this and move forward? I don't share this a lot, but I had a head injury a few years ago, and I fell down a flight of stairs. And believe me, I could not put words together and sentences together. I couldn't be on your show a few years ago, Royce, because it would have been a calamity. But my creativity was working in a beautiful way, and coming from it, I felt like, firstly, I'm alive. Yeah, it was a long journey back to be able to speak, to be able to be in public and listen to, and because lights and sounds were really over the top. But the takeaway, and it took time to get there, was that, wow, I'm alive. I can walk, I can think, I can talk, that's a gift. And we have to be able to, even in the worst situations, where's the gift, or where's the growth, or where's the next step that we need to come from that help us move forward? And that to me is so very important. And when I work with people, sometimes it is about being able to look, and sometimes it's not immediate, Royce, but being able to look and see, okay, so how is this serving me right now? It doesn't feel like it's serving me. War is not serving people, right? And seeing people die, and what, I mean, that, but at the end, how is it serving me? And you listen to many people who've been through so many challenges and struggles and atrocities, and often being able to come out on the other side. And maybe it's teaching someone else, maybe it's being able to start some nonprofit for children, or and because of their child that died of cancer or whatever. And you see that all the time, to be able to turn that into something else that helps other people, that allows us, that person, those people, to feel that they're doing something, that they're taking it forward, moving it forward some way. Sorry, I get really excited about this stuff.
That's okay. Well, my question is, I work with a lot of people that realize that something happened in their past and they never fully mourned it or fully released the emotions about it, and it's still carrying through. Like, for example, a parent died and they just jumped into this place of, oh, look at the bright side. Oh, it's fine. They never fully completed that physical, emotional, human aspect of things. What do you say about that?
I think it is important. See, people are not comfortable with the pain a lot of times. And
Mm.
so, and even in circumstances where people have been physically or sexually abused, sometimes they totally leave their bodies
Mhm.
because the pain is really too much to handle at the time, and something later on may trigger it, and then the emotions come full force. But I say to people that you need, even if it's 10 years from that point, be able to look at that situation, be able to recognize that it's okay to grieve. And I'm telling one of my clients, it's okay right now. It's okay to grieve. We don't want to hold stuff inside of us, because it does, to me, it becomes toxic.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you don't need to grieve forever and ever, because you've got to be able to turn it around, but be able to go back a little bit. Now, I do some of that with hypnotherapy, wherein I'll go back to the situation and help to change it a little bit, and also help the person come to a different place with it, but resolve it in some way. And I find that very powerful.
Mhm.
So I think it is important to just not, okay, nothing happened, I'm great, la la la. No, you're not great. Yeah, you may be great on so many levels, but not with that situation. You've got
Yeah.
to really be able to recognize, firstly, people are not allowed to, in many situations, like even guys. I remember years ago when I was crying over a situation with a friend of mine, my friend said, don't cry. And I said, well, I need to cry. And I think many people learn, well, you're not supposed to cry. I mean, don't, so you're not supposed to grieve. It's okay, just move on. Well, no, we have to be able to grieve. I think, again, that's taking and being in charge of our emotions, and also recognizing that feeling those emotions, Royce, are okay.
Yeah.
Being able to recognize, I'm in pain, I'm grieving, I'm sad from the loss or whatever it is. Okay, I understand that. And give yourself that time to do so, and then be able to pick yourself up to be able to move on. But don't forget that you went through something that you needed to understand and resolve in some way.
Yeah. And I think in our society, we have a tendency to kind of put a limit on that. It's like, okay, your mom died a year ago, you should be over it, but it's not true. It takes as long as it takes. And I find that it cycles too. It's like
Right,
some
right.
days something triggers something and you feel sad about your mom dying again. And it's like,
I,
instead of judging yourself, it's like, okay, well, this is another part of the cycle, a little bit deeper. I need to go and see what that's really about. So yeah.
Oftentimes, like an anniversary or a birthday, when somebody's has died years ago.
Yeah.
My mother's died several years ago, many years ago, but on her birthday,
Mm.
I still feel some sadness and wish she was here, and that's important. And you mentioned something I just want to go over a little bit. Years ago, I worked with someone, and her and her mother died and her father died within 2 years apart or a year apart. And her friends kept saying what you just said, okay, you need to get over it. You need to move on. And I said to her, grief doesn't have a time frame.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You need to be able to grieve. And that's important. Again, don't take your whole lifetime, but it's okay to grieve. And those people that are saying, no, you got to get out of it. I mean, they have your best interest in mind, but it may not be what you need.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's time to take a little bit of a break. I'm talking with Dr. Joanne White, and we're talking about resilience, strengthening the inner and outer you. And we'll be right back and talk a little bit more.
Om Times TV. Do you crave joy but feel stuck? Do you go through life feeling constantly triggered and frustrated? Fear is likely the culprit, and subconscious fear is likely sabotaging you. Perfect Life Awakening is a time-tested, spiritually based approach to inner transformation created by Royce Morales. For over 40 years, she has helped people get to the origins of subconscious fears and ultimately help them find their true purpose and a life full of joy. Sign up for Perfect Life Awakening today at roycemorales.com. You deserve to go from triggered to empowered, shifting your life with Perfect Life Awakening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. I'm talking to Joanne White, Dr. Joanne White, about resilience. And we're talking about all kinds of aspects of resilience, but I'd love for you to kind of consolidate, what would be the main factors that you could give people to help them snap back a little bit faster or learn about resilience in their life? What would you say?
Well, first, everybody's going through difficult times, and that's important. Don't minimize it. And don't minimize it. But at the same time, be able to have a sense of optimism, realistic optimism, so that it's not like, oh, la la. Be able to recognize that even though I'm going through this right now, I have a sense of hope that I'll get through it, that I have some inner strength that I'll be able to move past it no matter what. Be able to, we talked about this a little bit more, be able to reach out to people, because oftentimes resilience is about connection, recognizing that we're not alone, Royce, that there are people that care about us, even if they're not physically there or present with us. And that's really very important. How you look at the situation. Is it bleak? Is it like, okay, I can't go on anymore. This is, and again, that's a mindset and a perception. And that's really very important in terms of how you handle the situation. Be able to be resourceful. be able to recognize that even though I'm going through this particular time, I have resources. I can be creative. I can do things to get me out of it, to handle the situation, whatever it is, so that I feel more empowered, so that I feel that I can move forward rather than just staying still. Many people, when they go through something difficult, it's like woe is me, and they get stuck there, or they feel immobilized, or they feel that they're so depressed. And I'm not minimizing that. I don't want anybody to think that I'm minimizing it, but at the same time, you've got to be able to work with the inner guidance, your inner mind, and be able to say, okay, I know this is hard. I know that maybe this is something that I've never experienced before, but I have an inner strength. I have courage. I have tenacity. I have perseverance. I have whatever it is that I need to be able to move forward. And oftentimes, people that are resilient recognize that they do have a capacity, that even though something external has happened to them, Royce, they have the internal wherewithal to handle it, to cope with it, to move past it and beyond it, and have that inner strength. And that's really very, very important in terms of managing whatever's going on. And also, don't stay stuck in it. Be able to bounce back, be able to move forward, be able to create other steps to help you through a particular situation, so that you're not struggling all the time. Be able to recognize that you have to take some action. Sometimes just brewing over a situation and being still, and maybe we need to do that for a while. That's okay. But if you don't take any action, nothing happens. So you have to be able to take some action. You have to be able to be a little bit creative. And I believe we're all creative. Some people say, oh, I'm not, but I don't believe that. So, and that to be true. So I think, again, that's really very important. We have the capacity, we have the wherewithal to be able to handle different situations and difficult situations. That sense of belief in ourselves is also very critical. Believe that you can, believe that you will, believe that you're going to. And that's very important too, to resilience. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, I teach spiritual growth and transformation from within on a spiritual level. And I
So do
find
I.
that anything that has ever happened in my life, I look back on and I go, oh, well, that makes sense because that was supposed to lead me here, or that was supposed to introduce me to this other person, or that was supposed to,
Right.
there was a reason, a spiritual reason in terms of my growth and my evolution and my awareness and my evolution, really.
Yeah.
So, do you address that with your people at all?
Yeah, totally. And I'm working with people who've had injuries, who have all different kinds of challenges, and again, being able to move past that. Many years ago, I had a knee injury, and I used to dance. I still dance, and what was happening was I really couldn't move. I couldn't sit. I was in constant pain, and I wasn't getting the medical support that I needed, for whatever reason. Again, I'm not knocking physicians or medicine or anything like that, but started to look for alternative ways of healing, just like what you're talking about. And it led me down paths of hypnotherapy, of Reiki, of Alexander technique, all the things that I started to do for myself, Royce, to heal. Once I was able to do that and heal myself, I thought, well, this is a gift. I mean, now I could, so I got certified in all of those things because I thought, well, if I could heal myself, isn't it important to be able to help other people? And so turning that injury that really felt immobilizing for so long was really what I was led to do, to be able to open up to all these other ways, spiritual ways, other kinds of ways, and, non-traditional ways of not only helping myself, but helping others. And that's key, because we sometimes don't know why we're going through it. And people ask those questions, why, and we may not know immediately. But like I said, with my head injury, some of it was about recognizing gratitude was at a really high, one of the highest levels that one could have, because it's like life, we're alive, and being able to share that with people. And I think it's important that no matter what we're going through, and I sincerely believe this, like you do, we may not know it at the time, but there is something that can be utilized from it, or that something that comes of it that helps us shift or turn it around or create something else.
Or changes our life 100%. Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. I talk a lot about karma. I don't even like to use that word. I'd rather just use cause and effect. But I talk a lot about that in my courses. And it's amazing to me when I start doing some inner work on anything that's going on in my life. I always discover, that there's some kind of something that I'm balancing out from long ago, something that I've forgotten about, whether it's from this life or past lives. And we have a tendency to do things and then, quote, forget that we did them. And then we set up situations that are attracted to us or whatever to remind us of what we've done. So do you talk to people about that? Because that's a real tough one for my students to get, because that means taking full responsibility, knowing that on some level I've chosen this situation, I'm going through this for some reason that's helping me clean something up that I've long ago forgotten about. Do you talk about that?
Yeah. Again, I think what we're going through, even if we minimize it or want to forget about it,
Oh, yeah.
it is really important. I do a lot of work with dreams too, and I remember years ago having a dream that felt so real. And I'm not going to go into the dream, but it felt so real that it seemed like, okay, this can't just be a dream.
Right.
And that's how I got into learning about past lives. And actually, what's interesting is over the last few years, I've met a couple of people that were in one or two of my past lives that I'm working with. So we do need to, even though it's uncomfortable, and rather than beat yourself up and say, well, I've ignored that, I haven't paid attention to that, or recognize that if it's coming full circle, or if it's something that needs to be healed or cleared or shifted, even if you didn't do it way back when, you're being given another opportunity.
Yeah.
And isn't that a gift to be
Yeah.
able to go through it and heal it once and for all? I believe that when we hold on to things within us and push it down, I've been working with some couples too, and when they get upset and angry and they haven't really been able to address it, and so they push it down and they push it down, and then one day it just explodes. It like over the top about one little thing that had no sense, wasn't really, but that's because we didn't want to pay attention to it. We ignored it. And so it's important to be able to address it no matter when.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And, again, knowing that on some level, everything that goes on in our life is chosen. It's a tough concept to get. But, our higher consciousness says, you need to clean this up. So here's this person to clean it up with, or here's this bomb dropping in your house for you to clean it up, or whatever it is that's going on is a gift to help us to create balance and to clean things up and to wake up to those memories of things that we've done. So, yeah. So one of the questions, you sent me a list of questions to ask, which I haven't really focused on, but this one is popping out at me right now. What are some things that you should not do when you're faced with these challenges so that you can become more resilient? What are the do not list?
Okay,
You
I
have?
mentioned some of them. Do not just become so immobilized that you don't do anything. Okay.
Mhm.
To get so devastated and angry that you just stay in that state forever and ever. Because, and also, and that's important. I mean, and again, I want to say it's okay to get angry. It's okay to feel that you can't do anything. I'm not saying don't do that, but don't get stuck in it. Don't stay there so that there's nothing else that you can think about to be able to move forward. Don't minimize the situation either. Okay, like, well, it's all right. Da da da.
Whatever.
Yeah, yeah, ta-da. Because it may come back and haunt you
Oh yeah.
if you do. So face it, be able to handle it rather than ignore it, rather than just not pay attention to it or not even care about it. I mean, again, we do that sometimes to avoid hurt and to avoid pain, and that's understandable. But when we face something, when we are able to deal with it and handle it, that helps us move forward. Find mechanisms, coping mechanisms, so that what you need to do to be able to get out of it. I mean, there are ways to help yourself so that you're not feeling stuck and this is the end and there's no answer, there's no anything that's going to help me here. And that's really important. So again, going back to Frankel, I mean, in a concentration camp where how do you know if you're even going to be alive?
Yeah.
So what are you doing to reframe the situation in your mind? What are you doing to not just be so stuck and so angry and so hurt that that's where you stay?
Right. Yeah. And to find, like you were saying, to find the meaning behind it. What is this situation awakening in me, so that maybe it's part of my purpose, or maybe I'm supposed to write that book, or maybe I'm supposed to help other people, or yeah, what is the deeper meaning of what I'm going through? Yeah.
In some of the new anthologies that I've been in, there everybody's having personal stories about hope and about coping and about faith and being able to get through really difficult situations. And it's so important to, like you've said, I mean, it may be that we're supposed to be doing something. And sometimes it is about just sharing those stories with people, sharing what you've been through to give somebody else a sense of hope, somebody else a sense of faith in themselves and in a higher power or whatever, God, whatever it is, to be able to move forward. There's one story, I don't know if we have time. Years ago, I was teaching working with senior citizens in a community setting, and some of them were in wheelchairs. I was teaching dance and movement. Some of them were in wheelchairs and some of them were not able to move. And I came in to the setting and they said, well, what do you expect from us? What do you want from us? I mean, this guy said, I can't move. And I wrote about this. I can't move and I can't do anything. I said, I'm not expecting anything, but can you move your fingers? Can you move your head? Can you move you're dancing, you're moving. And I was reminded of this a few years ago as I was writing it, because I had another injury recently, and I wasn't able to move to dance the way I love to dance. And I was trying to dance and I was in a lot of pain. And I remembered that moment when I was teaching. I remembered saying to those people, well, can you move your fingers? Can you move, And so I did that for myself, Royce, to make me feel better. And again, to make me feel, okay, you're not stuck. You have capacity, even if it may not be at that level that you like or that you want. There, you do have abilities, and not everything is limited.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a great story. So what did they end up doing in the wheelchairs?
we danced. I mean,
Wow.
we put music on, and again, if they were in the wheelchair, but it changed the whole attitude and perspective,
Mhm.
because again, they didn't have to get up. They couldn't get up. They didn't, but they were able to do whatever it is to the music in whatever way, moving your head, whatever it was, and the room became joyful because everybody just felt that they could do something and they weren't being judged, and they were doing the best that they can, and it was a beautiful experience.
Wow. It's reminding me, I'm flashing back. My husband had a stroke about 9 years ago, and he was at a rehab hospital. And they had dance programs. They had everything at this rehab hospital. And I was watching one of the therapists. I guess he must have been a therapist, but he was working with people in wheelchairs, and he would be doing this ballroom dancing with these people in wheelchairs. It was so beautiful. It was like watching a ballet.
Yeah.
It was just amazing. So yeah, there's always something, there. Oh yeah, it was phenomenal.
And
So
that
what,
again is perspective and attitude, right? I mean, hey, from going from what do you expect from us? We can't do anything to, wow, I can do something. I can
yeah,
do this, right? That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's so true. So true. So what else to tell us about resilience? What would be your final word of advice here?
Whatever you're going through is an opportunity for growth, an opportunity for maybe healing something else. It's an opportunity for doing something more, maybe something that you were supposed to be doing that you weren't even aware of. Remember that you have the capacity, the ability to move past what may seem the most difficult situation that you've ever encountered before. But if you have a sense of hope, a sense of faith, and it could just be faith in yourself, or whatever it is, a sense of, I'm going to get through this, feeling some sense of realistic optimism that no matter what, it's going to be okay. Find the resources, the inner strength that you have, even if you don't think you have it. It's there. I know it's there. Trust me, it's there. And I think the work you and I do help people access that, really. And remember that this situation can be one of the most incredible gifts that you don't recognize at the moment. Go through it, heal, even grieve if you have to, even cry, whatever it is, but recognize that life has more than just this moment, and every moment is precious, and this moment may actually lead to something more beautiful and more opening, and help other people along the way.
Yeah. And that gratitude attitude, the attitude of gratitude, I think is so important too. I'm grateful for this, I don't even know why I'm grateful for it yet, but I'm grateful. And I know that will unfold. So yeah,
And you and I've experienced that,
yeah,
just, again, that falling down, having that head injury, and just being grateful that the sun is out. I have another day. Look at the birds. Look at the, whatever it is. We forget how much, we tend to focus, and I'm not minimizing anything, but we often tend to focus on the negatives in our lives, and turn around for a little bit and focus on something beautiful. I don't know if I have time, but years ago I was working with someone, and she was very down and very depressed, and I said to her, how did you get here? Oh, I drove my car, because she always had a new car every year. Do you like your car? Oh yeah, it's brand new, whatever. And how did you get into my office? Oh, I walked. You were able to walk? Yeah, I was able to walk. Okay. And your husband, your family? Oh, I love my kids and I love my husband. And so it's about, well, what are we looking at? And afterwards, she called me later. She said, Joanne, I was listening to what we were talking about and realizing that I have so much to be grateful for. But again, where's your focus? So she was able to look at all the wonderful things, Royce, that were happening in her life. A beautiful home, a beautiful family, her ability to walk, to talk, to drive, when some people can't even do that. Those are gifts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And to allow all those gifts to unfold and see what else shows up from what
Right.
you're going through. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you are doing. What are you up to now? What's next on your overfull plate?
I'm writing. I'm writing another book. I'm writing a book about my head injury, and I'm also working on a screenplay, but I'm not going to disclose too much of that right now. And
Play.
doing,
Wow.
doing speaking, and I love working with people. I love helping people. I think that for whatever you and I've been through, I mean, it opens the door to help other people. And to me, that's a great gift, to be able to see somebody smile, or to see somebody say thank you, or to see somebody be able to just move forward in a situation where they weren't able to before. And that's a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And what about your podcast, Power Your Life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's moving forward, and I have that. I'm thinking about doing certain things with that, changing that in some way, shape, or form. So I don't have enough information right now, but it's Power Your Life, and I interview people, as you know, because you've been on it, interview people that are doing wonderful things, whether it's in business, in spirituality, in life, whatever, to help other people, because I think we're here to serve in whatever capacity we can.
Yeah. Great. Well, I always say this in my show, and it never ceases to amaze me. Whenever I have a guest, there's always something that the universe throws in my lap, either the day before, and today it was minutes before. I was looking through my email and I get these quotes, various quotes from various places. And this is the quote that showed up today. I'll just read it. Quote, after the burning, the soil is richer and things can grow. People are like that too. I thought that was just so,
It's true.
it's so true. We're like, it's like compost, things
Right.
grow
Yeah.
so much better from that burned soil. So just to remind everybody, reach out to Dr. Joanne White if you need some help getting your resilience back. And her podcast is wonderful. And I have not read your books, but they sound really delightful. And I can't wait for that screenplay. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. Oh,
It's okay.
word. And I just want to remind everybody that resilience does not mean denial, as I'm sure that Joanne emphasized. It just means that we're not sitting around like Pollyannas going, oh yeah, look at the bright side. It means really going through it, honoring the human part of you that feels sad and feels pain and feels loss, but hoping that you get through it by getting to the deeper message of it, resolving the this, I guess resolving is not the right word, getting in touch with the spiritual aspect of it, the meaning of it, and trusting the process, trusting the journey. And I thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. And I look forward to being on your show really soon. And thank you all so much. Reach out to me if you need help getting into that deeper level of things and feeling like you're stuck somewhere and getting that resilience back that you truly deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Royce. It's been a pleasure to be here and an honor. And I'm so glad that we keep reconnecting.
Yes. Even with all the crazy
Right.
emails back and forth. Yes.
Thanks
Thank you.
again.
Yeah. And I'll see everybody in a couple of weeks on my next show. Thank you.
Bye.